Hi, welcome to Talk About here on Shaw TV North Island. Thanks for tuning in. We've got another interesting show. It's the Shoreline Arts Society, and with us is President Don Daniels and Secretary Marcia Mackay. Thank you both for coming in.
Thanks for inviting us.
John, thanks for the opportunity.
Well, it's a great event. I've loved it every year. I've got lots of photos on my website, www.crnv.com. And how's it going to be going this year? When is it and what's up?
John, we're into year 19. It's the
Wow.
19th annual.
That's amazing.
And June 24th to the 28th.
Uh-huh.
Actually, the logs start rolling in. It'll be the Sunday, Monday, the logs set up. Our volunteers start on the Tuesday, setting up the grounds, Frank James Park.
Yeah,
and then
which
the
is in Willow Point.
In Willow Point. And carvers get at it 7 a.m. on Wednesday morning, June 24th.
Yeah. How many carvers this year, do you think?
John, that varies by a couple because we get a couple of carvers that register a day before.
Right.
I think we had 22 last year, and we're about the same number. And of course, we don't know the exact number till the registration day, the Tuesday afternoon. So already we are expecting more than 22.
Wow. Now, there's some professionals that are there and carve but are not part of the competition, I understand.
We
Same thing
have
this year?
Max Chikite,
Yeah,
who is
the founder.
The founder. Max has been with us for 19 years. He acts as a consultant, and one thing we do notice is that the carvings get more detailed every year because
Yes.
of a couple of reasons. I think the number one reason is that the consultants and the professionals help the newcomers, help the amateurs.
Yeah.
So the carvers get better each and every year.
Yeah. Last year, Glenn Greensides of Sayward was there, and my wife Laura won a beautiful carving that he did in a raffle. And Jerry Strelayoff, and their work is amazing. Glenn last year did this bench, but behind, on the back of it, was this scene with porpoises, or no, was it otters and salmon? It's just phenomenal. But the winning carver last year, Cody LaFrance of Campbell River, did an amazing piece. I had the arts people on in recent shows, and they all agree that it is art. It is really something. So any ideas about who's going to be here this year?
Already we have a carver who has never been to a carving event in Canada, and he will be in from the Netherlands.
Wow.
And we have one of the Canadian champions out of Eastern Canada. He is coming to Campbell River for the first time. And Liam Stroman, who was here last year, is coming back. So we have a lot of interest from carvers who have never been to Campbell River. And it's such a big event, and for some of these carvers, it's kind of a holiday and a get-together with the other carvers to have fun for the week. That's why they love Campbell River.
Oh, yeah.
The great community spirit here.
Yeah. I think I forgot to mention that they do the carving of the logs with chainsaws and other tools too. But it's actually, it originally was a chainsaw carving. Yeah, but now, what's the rules about other implements? Are there any rules?
It's up to the carvers. Basically, yes, most of them use a chainsaw.
Yeah.
I know Henderson will use some of the old-time native tools.
Yeah.
And if they want to use a knife and chisel, go at it.
Yeah, Junior Henderson last year did a piece which wasn't part of the judging, but it was an amazing pink piece. It looked like a large mask in a way. Stunning. I don't think pink was a traditional color. Marcia, you're with the Lions Club, and you're also associated with the Willow Point Hall, and we're going to have a show about that next week if all goes well. But I gather this year there's something involving the carving now using the hall too. How's that work?
Last year, for the first time, we took advantage of the situation because there's only Sybil Andrews Cottage between us.
Yes.
So we opened up the hall and offered everybody free shade and very reasonably priced lemonade and refreshments, and we had a bunch of
Is that
vendors.
alcoholic refreshments?
No,
Oh.
no, not during the day.
Not yet.
We also had a salmon barbecue on a Saturday night. There's a separate one for the carvers
Right.
and that organization, but we also offered ones to the public through Marine Harvest.
Oh, my.
So with the location, it just makes sense to use our washrooms, although the city does provide go
Yeah.
huts or
Yeah.
whatever they're called these days.
Porta potties?
Porta potties, yep. The dynamic in Willow Point is changing now that Tim Hortons is there, but we
Yes.
think that a lot of people will still like our ocean views and the breeze and get away from the noise a little bit.
Yeah. The parking is an issue. I mean, it's not a defeating problem, but are there any plans to handle it differently this year?
We're still talking about that at the board level to try
Oh,
and figure
okay.
out what we could do. There's talk about space in behind woofies and
Okay.
just how we can maximize
Yeah.
that.
Phone Tim and see if he'd be
John, I think a lot of
Doesn't work
people who
anymore.
have been to the event in previous years, what they do is they park maybe 2 blocks down and have a nice walk in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we know that traffic is an issue. It's
Yeah.
a very busy 3 months for Willow Point.
Yeah. You know, actually, one of the things last year that was new in the 18th year, I guess, was the carving stayed there over the winter. Tell us about that.
What we do is that for our sponsors and people who make donations to get a carving, we like to keep the carvings on display because we have people coming from Victoria, Qualicum Beach.
Yeah.
We have a permit to use the park till the end of September.
Oh.
And just because of the way that the carvers or the carvings are delivered, the city of Campbell River donates the placement because you just can't pick up the carvings.
No.
They weigh in excess of 400, 600 pounds. So we have to use a high ebb, and it was done by the city of Campbell River. And matter of fact, there still are a couple of carvings at the moment in storage, and first come, first served, there'll be the carvings
Yeah.
will be delivered.
Yeah, you know, that's an opportunity to mention too, the tourism out. Yeah, got a little headline here from the Mirror, Campbell River's only newspaper. Tourism outlook bright in 2015. What kind of tourism impact does this event have?
We're finding it's really popular with the Willow Point BIA, all the businesses. They appreciate the increased traffic.
Yes.
And the carvings stayed in the park a little longer than they normally do, but there were people there every day checking them out.
Yeah.
And we've just made a proposal to City Council that the city establish a permanent carving walk. So the carvings would be enjoyed by everyone all year round. And then the next year, we would switch out the carvings and
Yeah.
keep it a fresh
Oh, what a
display.
good idea.
People seem to really
Yeah.
enjoy the carvings.
Yeah. I have a clipping here somewhere that you were at council recently asking for something, and it was the big salmon thing, replacing Lager Mike, I think. But was this also part of the application?
One
Was
of the things we did mention that night was the possibility of a giant salmon carving.
And that made the headline.
It made the headline. I pointed out that if you do a Google search, Campbell River comes up and a couple of other communities, and we suggested that perhaps if Port Hardy is going for a 16-foot or a 22-foot, we could get a 24-foot salmon and remain the salmon
Yeah.
capital of Canada. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing I was concerned about with those carvings staying through the winter, really, was vandalism or graffiti. But I didn't see any evidence of that. However, I didn't inspect them, perhaps. Was there some?
John, there's so many people in and out of the park, people coming and going. We've had very little damage to a carving in the
Yeah.
past 3 years that I've been
Yeah.
involved with. Sometimes the wind will knock down one, so somebody will replace it again. But we've had very little vandalism.
Yeah. Well, there's a thing about graffiti that apparently they don't damage other people's art. So maybe that's a help. But the community spirit on this thing is, there's a lot of great community spirit in Campbell River. But I have here the thank you page from last year's event. And I'll hold it up just a bit more there. But look at all of the names. Mind you, there's the winners list too, but there's a lot of businesses. Cash sponsors, I see Area D popping up here. How's it going this year for sponsors?
We expect another superb year. We have sponsors coming to the door, coming to the plate. How do we get involved? We have sponsors who come back with us each and every year. And John, we're always looking for more.
Yeah, where can they reach you?
They can reach us through the website.
Which is?
Um,
Well, check Marcia's card here. www.crshorelinearts.ca. www.crshorelinearts.ca. I think probably if you Google,
Right.
you'll get that. You might get my CRNV website too. But the-
John, if I could just ask,
Sure.
or add, one of the nice things about this carving organization is that all of the accommodation is donated by the hotels
Yeah.
and motels in the region.
Yeah,
So that's something that is not offered by most other carving organizations.
yeah.
So it really is a holiday for the carvers. They have to take a week off work, most of
Yeah.
them, to come and carve with us, but
Yeah.
they thoroughly enjoy it, and
Yeah.
the businesses
Well-
really love it.
Well, you know, everybody wins in the sense that June is not yet Canada Day, and therefore it's not really high tourist season yet. I think school is just out about then, I guess. So yeah, the hotels and motels that are giving up rooms are sort of not hurting themselves, but yeah, they still got to clean the room and all that. But you know, the word gets out, and maybe the month somebody will come and stay there. So yeah, everybody wins.
John, also the lunches are sponsored by local restaurants, free of charge to the carvers. So
Yeah.
the carvers are really looked after by the merchants of Campbell River.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So I guess you got a lot of repeat entries.
Yeah, we have a stable of carvers that come back each and every year.
Yeah.
And they have a culture of their own that they always speak to each other via emails or internet or telephone. And hey,
Yeah.
John, I'm coming back to Campbell River. Oh, gee, I know another carver who'd like to join us. So
Yeah.
we're always adding to the stable of carvers.
Yeah. You know, that jogs my memory, twigs my memory, that you have some categories for the prizes. And like there's pro, semi-pro, amateur, but there's also a Carver's Choice Award. So there is a judging panel. I think Councillor Ron Kerr was on it last year. But, you know, so they might pick something that's sort of popular, but the carvers themselves say, no, that's the piece that has the art in it.
Right.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
And we have the People's Choice.
Oh, yes.
Everyone who comes to Frank James Park to see the event
Yeah.
can place a ballot, and I like that one.
Yeah, yeah. And that reminds me too, there's raffles, there's refreshments. It's a pretty good event.
And there's a quick carve event too on the Saturday afternoon
yeah.
where I think we have 10 carvers. They have a limited time to create a carving, and then
Yeah.
it's auctioned off silent auction style to the public.
Yeah. You know, I think we got time to tell the story of the origin of it. Max and the stump on the beach. Who wants to do that?
I believe Max started it day one, 19 years ago, and he carved the octopus, octi.
Yeah.
I have his picture with the original
Oh, nice.
carving,
Yeah.
which is no longer in existence, I think. I think
Somebody damaged
it was damaged years ago, and
What
the
a
head
shame.
was put back on, and so that carving is
Yeah.
pretty much.
But
Yeah.
as I remember the story, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Max was working in the movie industry at the time, I think on Eaters of the Dead or something. And he was down at the beach, I think at a friend's place, and he saw that stump sitting there. It was a pretty big old stump. And he said, you know, I think I could make something of that.
And he did.
And he turned it into an octopus. And from there, I guess somebody said, you should display that. Is that right?
I'm not quite sure, John. That
Yeah.
was way before my time, but I believe,
Yeah. But anyway, in the following year, they had a bit of a competition. I don't know how many people entered, but it sure built up. Is there going to be a problem with space if it keeps growing?
We have a limit of about 32 carvings, and that would be just like having sardines in a can. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Yes, space is one thing, but I don't think there's ever been more than 32 carvers in an
Yeah.
event.
yeah. But the venue is great. You know, actually, I took a photo last year. Somebody carved a lighthouse.
Right.
And it was
Yes.
in the same shape as the lighthouse over on Quadra Island. And I got a picture of the large carved and off in the distance, I'm not a great photographer, this little lighthouse and across the back. But that scape of the sea, and it's usually pretty good weather. Doesn't rain for 4 days very often.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
And John, that lighthouse will be in the front yard of the folks at Capacity Forest Management, who was a sponsor for us last year. And
awesome.
through the sponsorship program that we do
Yeah.
have, the
Yeah.
lighthouse will be
Yeah.
will be there.
Now, I've heard tell that there's maybe going to be some tie-in with the Logger Sports, or are you talking about it? What's the status on that?
The board is fairly new, but as we coalesce, we've had the time to deal with things like leftover logs. We
Yes.
managed to donate some of those to one of the schools.
Yeah,
I see
Actually-
you've got the article there.
yeah, it's actually the child care at Christian Life Fellowship. There it is. It was on the front page of the Mirror, Campbell River's only newspaper.
And we were thinking, is there some sort of synergy, something we can
Yeah.
do with Logger Sports?
Yeah,
Now, because they're a September event and we're a late June event, we don't know what the tie-in
Right.
could be. But maybe if we could get some cross-fertilization, some cross-advertising, something like that. So one of the things we have on our list to do as a board is to talk to them and see what we
Yeah.
can turn it into.
yeah,
John, last year Ryan Cook, who was featured on the Wave magazine,
right.
was
Here, I'll-
doing
I'll do it.
he was doing an exhibition at
There's-
the
there's
Logger Sports.
Ryan Cook, he's got an amazing blonde afro. I really
he's,
like the guy.
he's Mr. Rock
There it
and Roll
is.
Chainsaw Guy,
There we go. We've got a monitor.
and
in the
he
studio.
did the carving. This
Awesome.
was one of the carvings that was a miniature carving that he did last year
hold
at
this
the
up
Logger
before.
Sports.
I'm not sure if
So we
that'll go.
take this around and kind of show it around.
Yeah, that's amazing, and it's got a winking eye in it. Now, that's not the one that, he didn't take this apart, no, that's another. Yeah, Ryan does faces in it.
Mhm.
That's his thing, yeah. Awesome. Something I haven't asked? Any topics that you want to add?
One of the big questions every year is, how do we sponsor or get a carving?
Yeah,
So what we do, John, is that various businesses in Campbell River, we take a cash donation and sort of a pecking order in the amount. City of Campbell River, well, of course, People's Choice for the raffle is always the first prize. So if you buy a raffle ticket for $5, the first prize is, John, if you won the raffle, you get to pick one of the carving. So there's kind of a staging order for
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Are you going to have the viewing benches again this
Yes.
year? Yeah.
Yes.
I guess, is it Sunday the last day?
Sunday's last day.
Sunday. So, yeah, one of the best times to go is, well, early Sunday. See them finishing up. It's amazing to see them struggling to get it done by the deadline. What is the deadline noon or 1?
It's noon for some carvers and 1 o'clock for the carvers who take part, because they get the extra hour during the quick carve on the Saturday.
Oh.
So they don't lose an hour.
Right, right. But then, you see the pieces being finished, you can enter and you got time to do it. Yeah, I mean, I like to go every day, and watch the progress, and that's interesting too. But the awards take about an hour, maybe more, and it's sure nice if you have one of the seats on the bench.
Yes.
And how about covered areas? It rains here sometimes. There hasn't been much coverage in the past. Is that
We-
an issue?
We
No.
asked the carvers to bring their own little tents.
Yeah.
You can come and wait out the rain in the Willow Point Hall and
Oh,
drink some
that's-
of our lemonade.
Yes.
There's not much we can do about the weather, but most of these guys are lumberjacks, guys and gals.
Yeah.
I work in the trade and they're used to working outside, so it doesn't
Yeah.
seem to bother them.
Yeah.
Bring an umbrella.
Okay.
The nice thing about rain on the west coast is that it washes off.
Well, and in June too, it's not bitterly cold like
Yeah.
February or something like that. So
Some of the carvers say cooler weather is better
yes, I would think.
because they have their safety gear on and
Yes.
they're lugging around chainsaws for,
Yeah.
for the 5 days. So cool can be good.
Yeah. How do you allocate the spaces? Like, you know, first layer gets the best spot, or do you say, oh no, this is where the pros are, this is the, how do you? how
What we
you
do,
allocate?
John, is when carvers register for the following year, whoever carves first will have pick their log.
Whoever registers.
You know, they
first.
move those logs around, around to where they want to be.
Yeah.
Some carvers want to be in the group because their friends are there. Some carvers want to be alone.
Yeah,
So, hey, they can move those logs anywhere they want.
yeah. Now, where you get the logs is a story. Tell us that and how are you doing this year?
We have 4 of our main sponsors, the logging companies, help us out each and every year.
Very generous.
And how do they do it? And can we mention them, or do they not want to be
I
mentioned?
think we had on the list, a thank you list of the log donations.
Let's see if I can scan that here quickly.
You know, Western Forest
There it
Products
is.
there.
Oh, they got log delivery, Pacific Wood Waste, John Ellis, West Coast Hauling, and Waycor Construction. I mean, and Ted Arbor too is involved. What is of the Econo Youth Storage? Is he still involved this year?
No, he's basically retired for this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he does
I'll
let us
listen.
store
Yeah.
in a couple of his containers. We've got ladders and wheelbarrows
Yeah.
and all the things that
Yeah.
it takes to put on an event.
I suspect we'll see him down there.
I'm
Oh,
sure
yes.
you will.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Anyway, let's see, wood setup, carvers.
Bottom right-hand corner, it's
Oh,
got Western
wood-
Forest
Wood
Products.
suppliers, there, it's big logos, WFP, Island Timberlands, Timber West, and Interfor. So how do they select the logs? I've heard some stories, but before you,
What we have is we have some of the carvers working for some of the companies. So we're in the process of right now, the wood companies are on board again for this year, and they kind of pick and select some of the finest wood for the carvers. It's it's not garbage wood. It's top rated cedar, fir, and these companies donate it to the carvers.
you know, I'm a journalist at heart. Sometimes I ask tough questions. I heard that sometimes they give you the stumps or logs with knots in them.
Then what they do is because what they do is they get these big pieces of wood logs.
Yeah.
Either the bottoms are cut off.
Yeah, there's second grade maybe. I mean, they could still sell them perhaps.
Oh,
but,
sure. Oh, yeah.
But there's some, and in a way, having a defect like a big knot could be used by a guy like Ryan
yeah.
Cook. Yeah,
The carvers take a look at the stump and say, I'm going to make an alligator or a polar bear or a magical snake.
yeah,
They don't tell us what they're carving each and every year. They
Yeah.
sort of look at the log, okay, and
Yeah.
they get at it.
Do they get to choose the log, or like are the logs sitting there and then they say, "Oh, take that log," or they want this corner and I'll move the log to it?
Yeah.
Both,
The first one who registers
Yeah.
gets first pick.
Yeah.
first
All the way
outside
down the
and
line.
log.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my,
yeah, and we encourage them to leave the log where it is
yes.
so that they can get on with the carving.
But how do they move it if they want to move it to their favorite
Very
corner?
carefully with a lot of friends.
They get
Okay.
5 or 6 people and they move those things around like I can move around a beach
Yeah.
ball.
You know, and I've been to, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 of these events over the last 20 years, 19 years. The camaraderie between the contestants is unusual. I mean, you know, like I was watching hockey last night. Those guys are beating each other up. But these guys, I'm sure there's personal rivalries and things, but for the most part, they're a club that protects each other.
They help each other out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
John, they're a special culture amongst themselves. They love to talk about carving. They banter about new ideas and techniques, and they like to socialize for the
Yeah.
week in Campbell
Yeah.
River.
Last year, I noticed at the beginning of it, there was some rookie carvers And the pros were there sort of shaping the log for them because, you know, they can get that saw going. And yeah, they don't, like Jerry Strelioff and Glenn
Greensides.
Greensides, they were particularly good at that. And I think it's wonderful.
And that's why we bring them back every year.
Yeah,
We encourage them.
yeah. Now, Glenn also was displaying some of his works for sale.
Right.
And I have a little photo with the price tags on them. He's making a living out of that.
And
He's a professional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a professional.
And Ryan, who started as an amateur a few years ago from Britannia, is now, I believe, working all over the world. Yeah. So there you go, a little community event. Look what it's grown into.
Dan Ritchie will park his truck right on Main Street, and in the back there'll be an eagle sculpture or a crab or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, the people, the people doing carvings will bring along and
Yeah,
sell some stuff.
that's great.
Yeah.
Is there anything I missed?
I would like to mention how supportive the Mirror has been.
Oh, good.
They put out a pamphlet, or not a pamphlet, but
Supplement.
what-
they call it.
supplement. Sorry, I don't know the terminology. This comes out about 10 days before the carving event.
Yeah.
And then they also put together the wave, and there's usually an article on carving in it.
Yeah.
And they allow us to print the thank you page,
Yeah,
which is tremendous.
yeah. Well, let's hope now that there's no competition, they'll keep doing that.
Hope so.
Hi, Dave. Dave's the publisher, and he watches the show. So, yeah, kudos to everybody. So let's just, the dates again this year,
June 24th to the 28th.
28th. So if you've got relatives from out of town and they're thinking, when should you come? You know,
Oh, yeah.
tell them to come and be here for the Shoreline Arts Carving. It's a great event. So thank you both for coming in. And thank you, volunteers, for helping produce Talk About here on Shaw TV North Island. And thank you, Shaw, for putting it on. Shaw has a YouTube channel on Shaw TV North Island. And there's a list of all of the shows, all of the Talk About shows that I've done in the last, it's coming up to a year and a half now, I think, on my website, www.crnv.com. So thank you for watching.